Part 108. The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 1072. Wife says you're bored? I have to relieve my wife's boredom. Lu Zhenjie thought for a while and took out his gift bag from the front seat. Of course, this bag was just for fun. Of course, his and Jinli's things were kept in their respective Kinkin worlds. Lu Zhenjie unzipped the bag like a charm, rummaged through it, and pulled out a box of things. The photographer knew how to give a close-up shot. It's a box of particularly beautiful dried fruits. The box is transparent, but you can't tell what material it is made of. When you hold it in your hand, it just feels crystal clear and beautiful. The dried fruits inside are even more beautiful. Why is it beautiful? It's because of the color of the dried fruit strips. The red is dazzling, the green is crisp, and the yellow is clear and moving. All in all, it seems that during the period from picking to drying, some special technique was used to retain their most beautiful and dazzling color. Lu Zhenjie opened the box. As a result, everyone in the car smelled a sweet fruity aroma. Even the driver, who was sitting in the driver's seat, couldn't help but swallow his saliva. It was too sweet. The taste is not overbearing, refreshing and sweet but not greasy, lingering gently throughout the carriage. Lu Zhenjie handed it to Jinli. You won't be bored after eating dried fruit. Other people. Unable to control himself, he stared at them eagerly. The photographer had unknowingly zoomed in a little closer, from a close-up of the faces of the two guests to a close-up of the dried fruit on Jinli's hand. Drawing it closer, Jinli's delicate and beautiful hands were highlighted. In these fair hands, a red dried fruit was being twisted. The photographer couldn't tell what kind of fruit it was, he just felt that it was the bright red dried fruit looked particularly beautiful when held by Jinli's fair and slender fingertips. Also, I want to eat. Well. Of course, such bright sight and desire cannot be hidden from the two of them. Jinli looked back at everyone and then at Lu Zhenjie. Is there any more? Take it out and let everyone try it. Lu Zhenjie didn't say anything, but took out a few more boxes from his bag. Everyone was a little surprised that his bag could hold them so well. One box was given to Su Hexiang and two people, one box to Long Hao and one to the staff. Even the driver who was driving was given an extra box. Su Hexiang was a little embarrassed. This is a snack for you too. It's just a little bit in total. Give it all to us. Jinli smiled and said, it's okay, we have a lot. She blinked at Su Hexiang. Su Hexiang suddenly remembered her identity. Understood. She opened the box without any burden and ate one. In an instant, a soft and sweet taste blooms on the tip of the tongue. She no longer had any extra time to be polite. Delicious. The car suddenly became quiet, leaving only the fruity aroma and the inconspicuous sound of chewing. Unfortunately for the driver, he couldn't eat anything delicious, and his stomach was hit by the aroma of delicious food countless times. After everyone ate several in a row, they finally recovered. Oh my God, I have never eaten such delicious dried fruit. Jinli, where did you buy it? Mo sighed with satisfaction and asked. Of course it is produced by Chaos God Realm and cannot be bought. Jinli smiled, I didn't buy this, I made it at home. Mo, did you do it yourself? Jinli tilted her head and thought for a while, then nodded, well, when the fruits from our orchard are ripe and at their best, we pick them and ask someone to use special techniques to make the fruits into dried fruits. Good night, it's the end of the month, there are still monthly votes that haven't been cast, come on. I forgot to mention something, today is Jinli's birthday, happy birthday little fairy. The Jinli birthday event pinned to the top of the book review section is on the 30th, which means it ends at 12 o'clock tonight. The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 1073. She wasn't wrong either. These fruits are all spiritual fruits grown on the fruit trees growing on the sacred mountain where she lives. When they mature, when they are the freshest and most tender, they are picked by the fairies in the sacred mountain, made into dried fruits, and presented to she. When Jinli said this, Mo misunderstood something. I almost forgot, Jinli, you have a separate manner. This fruit should be from your own family. The ones you buy may not taste as good as this. This was an opportunity to flatter Jinli. Jinli smiled, thought of something, and said, the technique of making dried fruit is also very particular. I specially asked someone to learn it from a master. Lu Zhenjie glanced at her but said nothing. Who is the master? This method of making dried fruits was figured out by the goddess Juyi. The reason was to make some delicious snacks for her son marshmallows. I don't know how many years ago, Jinli tasted it by chance and said it was delicious. Later, he took a lot of good things and changed the method of making dried spiritual fruits, so that the little goblin on the sacred mountain they learned it and cooked it for themselves. Little fairies love to eat, and the demon spirits of the fairy mountain where Tianqi is located certainly don't dare to neglect them. At any time, Jinli and Lu Zhenjie's little world is filled with many such dried fruits packed in crystal boxes. In the small world of the gods, the food can last for thousands of years, so there is no need to worry about running out of food and wasting it. As for why the crystal box was used instead of gold and jade, Jinli said, of course it was because the pure and transparent box contained the colorful dried fruits, which was beautiful. After Mo and Jinli said these words, they looked down at the dried fruits on their hands, but thought of going somewhere else. As expected, having money and fame is good. He seems to be quiet and doesn't show off his wealth, but he is so particular about even eating a piece of dried fruit. Long Hao glanced at her lightly, said nothing nonsense, and did not stop taking the food at all. Just kidding, these people don't know how precious this dried fruit is, but he knows it very well. What could be wrong with what Jinli took out? On the other side, while eating, Lu Shen actually shut up. Su Hexiang breathed a sigh of relief in her heart. When she got off the bus, she found a reason to stay with Jinli. She didn't know what was wrong with this man, but she was determined to draw a clear line with him. Lu Qingyuan ate 2 pieces and didn't take any more. He sat quietly on the seat and didn't know what he was thinking about. The carriage became very quiet, but with the sweetness in the room, it didn't feel dull at all. Finally, we arrived at the first stop. Several people arrived at the hotel, entered their rooms, and packed their luggage. We don't have any plans today, so we'll just give some space for the guests to fix their problems. Mo was the one who was most familiar with him. He created a WeChat group and invited all 5 people into the group. He also suggested that everyone go out for a meal together in the evening. This is also considered a routine operation. After all, the show is not short. We have to get along day and night for more than a month. We may even form partners to help each other. It is a very convenient and quick way to contact each other in advance and get familiar with each other as soon as possible. Dining is a very convenient and fast way. No one said no. For this kind of party, it would be too out of the ordinary to eat in a private room at a high-end restaurant. Mo suggested that we go play skewers together in the evening. When I saw the word Lu Chuan, the WeChat group was quiet for a moment. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Koi Fairy Wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 1074. Mo also reacted immediately. What she said just now was just a subconscious thought. She has been a small citizen for more than 20 years. In her understanding, when a group of people go out for supper at night, barbecue and beer are delicious. But he forgot that the people in the group at this moment were not the friends he had known before. Lu Zhenjia and Lu Qingyuan are the young masters of the Lu family. It is said that Su Hexiang is the only daughter of a family of traditional Chinese medicine and a daughter of a famous family. This Wen Hao's family background is unknown at the moment, but judging from his appearance and temperament, he doesn't look like a child from an ordinary family. Thinking about it this way, it's really hard to imagine them sitting on cheap plastic chairs at a late-night snack stall, holding up not-so-clean barbecue skewers and stuffing them into their mouths. Thinking of this, she quickly typed. She was about to say, "Why not go somewhere else?" The first person to respond in the WeChat group appeared. Wen Hao, yes. Mo was stunned. She didn't expect that the first person to respond would be Wen Hao, who looked cold. He also looks like someone who would eat barbecue outside, but he actually agreed. Jin Li's phone also rang. She looked at the messages in the WeChat group, thought about it, and replied. Little Fairy Jin Li, okay, I haven't eaten at a late-night snack stall yet. Lu Zhenjia, I'll go with you. Su Hexiang, let's go together. Lu Qingyuan, what time will we set off in the evening? Mo. She silently deleted otherwise we can choose a different place in her input box. Mo, I'll ask the teachers of the program team later. They should know a little bit more about this place. The first stop of the program trip was the famous scenic spot of Flower Country. The natural scenery here is famous all over the world, but the natural scenic spots are relatively less developed and the conditions are not as good as those in big cities. I even searched for some tips on what's delicious nearby, but couldn't find a few. Since Mo took the initiative to suggest going to eat, the task of asking was naturally given to her. When Mo said that they were going to have barbecue together in the evening, the staff looked a little confused. Obviously, he has gone through the guests in this issue in his mind, and it is difficult to associate them with the word barbecue. But since the guests themselves are willing, of course they have nothing to say. There is a XXX store less than 3 kilometers away from the hotel. It has a good reputation and the taste is okay. However, the taste is on the strong side and may be salty and spicy, the staff said. Okay, thank you. The staff member asked again, can we send a photography teacher to follow? It's not uncommon for guests to go out for dinner together on the first day they get together. But the guests this time are not ordinary. Thinking about the 6 people sitting around a table eating barbecue, the staff thought to themselves, if this is filmed and edited and shown in the trailer, it will definitely become a hit. Mo himself didn't care. However, due to the fact that there were too many big guys participating in the show this time, she couldn't make the decision at all, so she had to ask again in the group. Everyone said it didn't matter, as long as the photographer kept it quiet and didn't disturb them and other diners. Mo conveyed his intention, and the staff happily went to find the director. Night falls. When the guests got into the car and went to have late-night snacks, the first edited trailer of the show was finally released. See you tonight. Happy birthday to the little fairy fish. The koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the koi goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 1075. The official Weibo of the program Travel With Me was registered not long ago. But how popular is this show? To be precise, how popular are these 6 guests? The show has not officially started yet, and the official trailer has not been released. After only releasing a few photos and conducting a live broadcast that was not a serious live broadcast, the number of fans following the official Travel With Me account has exceeded 7 digits. You know, this show hasn't even started yet. The promotion hasn't started yet. It is entirely based on the popularity of the guests and the fans brought by several hot searches. It can be said to be quite terrifying. According to rumors, other program groups in the industry, especially those with new programs to be broadcast, are exploring the broadcast time of Come Travel With Me. If you can avoid it, it's better to avoid it. Just now, Fans who have been paying attention to Weibo suddenly discovered that this official Weibo, which has never been very interested in business, actually posted updates. And the first shot is a big deal. Likewise, a less serious trailer. Every day, when we sit in the depressing office, we repeat the work of the previous day, stop occasionally and look out the window. We need a journey. The preamble ends and the official broadcast begins. The video is quite satisfactory. The guests are introduced one by one in turn. After introducing the guests, they briefly talk about what this program is about. At this point, the screen suddenly went black. A line of bright white characters appeared. Do you think it's over here? Don't worry, there will be Easter eggs later. Fans. As soon as the screen turned, the scene had been switched. Apparently, he was in the bus. There were 6 guests sitting in the car. Jinli and Lu Zhenjia were talking. Lu Qingyuan and Su Hexiang tilted their heads to exchange something. Wen Hao and Mo were relatively quiet, sitting next to each other, one playing with his mobile phone and the other looking out the car window. Lu Shen and Susu really have a very good relationship, are they whispering? Ah, can I finally carry the banner of Qingxiang CP? Hold the ball, these two are good friends at first glance. Okay, I'm really impressed by you CP brains. When you see a man and a woman, you have to make a couple for them. Although, in fact, one man and one man can get together. Later, arrows were circled above the two people's heads, with the word whisper bold and red. Soon, Jinli's boring words appeared. Lu Zhenjia immediately started to bring her food to relieve her boredom. Seeing this, fans. Sorry, singles are not worthy of watching this show. I am humbled. I thought I clicked on a travel variety show, but in the end I still couldn't escape the trap of a love variety show. Dad Lu really dotes on Jinli. They have been together for many years and are both married. They are still so clingy. My boyfriend and I have never been like this when we were most passionately in love. Otherwise, Yelai will always be the emperor in CP. However, this topic did not last long. Because, as the photographer's camera zoomed in, all the viewers could clearly see the dried fruit Jinli was holding. This dried fruit is so beautiful. It's really nice. The box is also very nice. Is it made of glass? Given the capriciousness of this house's use of mutton fat white jade to pave the floor, maybe they used crystal boxes. It looks delicious. Can Jinli share the brand of dried fruit? The koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the koi goddess. Author, Sushao Zhaji. Chapter 1076. There are many comments below this comment. But soon, Mo got the answer on their behalf. After hearing Jinli say that she didn't buy them, they were fruits from her own orchard and were made using special techniques. Netizens. Excuse me, farewell. I am not worthy. Poor people are not worthy of eating such dried fruits. Sure enough, I can't imagine the happiness of rich people. Did you see Mo's shocked and confused expression? That's my expression at the moment. I feel sorry for Mo, with a look of shattered outlook on his face. But they soon ran out of time to sympathize with Momo. Because they saw Dad Lu take out 2 boxes, 3 boxes, and 4 boxes of beautiful dried fruits from his backpack, and distributed them to everyone in the car. The photographer also deliberately took a close-up of the box he was given. Under the close-up, this box of dried fruits looks even more beautiful. Just like a box of art. Did you see other people's expressions? Everyone is praising how delicious it is. I'm a pretty girl. I can stamp this dried fruit like this as the most delicious in the world without tasting it. Do you have any objections? Want to eat? I want to eat it too. I really want to take a bite. Is it really delicious? Everyone in the car stopped talking and were eating. The driver's expression made me laugh to death. Are you greedy? Jinli at Jinli is a coy little fairy. Can you use this fruit for the lottery next time? At Jinli is a coy. Yes, it's a good idea. One person writes in blood and begs for a lottery draw of dried fruits on Weibo. At Jinli is a koi and two people wrote blood letters asking for Weibo lottery draws of the same dried fruit. The trailer is only a few minutes long. To the surprise of the program team, this trailer created a huge wave of popularity. However, in fact, the situation was indeed somewhat beyond the expectations of the program crew, because what fans discussed the most was neither a certain guest nor the content of the program, but Jinli's dried fruit. Hashtag Jinli's dried fruits hashtag. Hashtag Chiu Jinli lucky draw dried fruit hashtag. Hashtag dried fruits that poor people don't deserve hashtag. A string of hot searches went up instantly. Although the popularity of the show immediately increased, the director felt very complicated. His assistant was also a little confused. He asked the director on his mobile phone, "Director, now we have 5 hot searches, 2 of which are in the top 10. So what we were planning to buy before, do we still want to buy it?" "Director." He rolled his eyes, "What to buy? If you buy it, the audience will only want to eat dried fruits. Save the money and buy it when the popularity subsides." "Oh, okay," the assistant responded. The director looked at the plan in his hand, then looked at the hot searches on his phone, and touched his chin to think about it. "I don't know if I can buy Jinli's dried fruits. If you can buy some dried fruit from Jinli, then the program team will hold a promotional lottery in the name of giving back to the fans. No matter how you think about it, it's wonderful." The director tried to call Jinli. The call was answered by Lu Zhenjie, because Jinli was holding skewers in both hands at the moment and had no extra hands to answer the phone. Lu Zhenjie was wearing gloves while peeling shrimps for Naupo. When he heard the ringing, he took off his gloves and wiped his hands carefully with a wet tissue before answering the phone. "Hello, I'm Lu Zhenjie. What do you want from Jinli?" "Director." Momentarily speechless. Like everyone else, they still had the courage to speak to the cute Jinli. But facing Lu Huaguo's richest man, Bing Shan, the domineering president, the talkative Zhenjie, he was very timid. "Dad Lu, it's just the boss's aura. Good night, big darlings. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Koi Fairy Wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Sushao Zhaji. Chapter 1077. But no matter how timid I am, since it's all about this, I can only say it clearly. The director expressed his thoughts and asked if he could have some of Jinli's dried fruits as a gift. Lu Zhenjie frowned and refused coldly, "No. Dried fruit is a snack that little fairy fish likes." If Jinli hadn't spoken like that at that time, he wouldn't even be willing to give it to other people in the car. The director refused to give up. "We can offer a high price." Lu Zhenjie interrupted him, "Director, do you think I am short of money?" The director was speechless. Lu Zhenjie's tone was cold. "This dried fruit is Jinli's snack. We didn't prepare much this time. So we can't give it to you. What else can the director say? Of course, shut up." The movement on Lu Zhenjie's side certainly attracted the attention of others. Jinli finished finishing a bunch of squid tentacles in her hand, her mouth turned red from the spicy food, and she asked him what was wrong while drinking ice water. Lu Zhenjie shook his head, "It's not an important matter. If it's not something important, just forget about it." Jinli started to eat the shrimps that Lu Zhenjie had peeled for herself with her chopsticks. The 6 of them ordered a large round table and ordered a table full of delicious food. Judging from the number of trophies left on the table, Jinli ate the most. After all, Mo and the others eat as much as a normal person, and Long Hao doesn't have any preference for food. He just tasted a few mouthfuls and was satisfied. As for Lu Zhenjie, he spent most of his time getting food for Jinli. Mo looked at the pile of finished food in front of Jinli, rubbed his belly, and felt a little envious. "Jinli, you have a great appetite, but aren't you afraid of getting fat after eating so much? Although she is a singer, in this industry, there are always requirements for appearance. Since joining the industry, she has paid more attention to her appearance and body shape. Although she is not as strict about body shape management as some idol actors, she still dare not eat whatever she wants like ordinary people. Such as now. If it were before, facing such a table of delicacies, she would just squeal and get on it. As long as it tastes good, don't give up until you can't eat anymore. How is it like now, picking two favorites to taste, drinking a glass of water, and not daring to eat more? If she eats 2 more high-calorie barbecue sticks, she will have to spend several hours in the gym. Use up this energy. When Jinli heard this, he swallowed a mouthful of chewy shrimp meat with satisfaction. The taste of this night snack restaurant is indeed good. She glanced at Momo and touched her belly with a smile. I'm not afraid, I won't get fat if I eat. You never have to worry about living up to the delicious food, she said and glanced at Lugenja. Right, Lugenja. Lugenja nodded. Seeing his movement, Jinli stretched out her hand to stop him. Hey, don't peel it off. I can do it myself and you can eat it too. Lugenja didn't stop. I don't like eating these things. I feel happier watching you eat them than eating them myself. Others at the table. Falling in love is amazing. No, it should be said that married people are great. We shouldn't sit on the table, we should lie under the table. From a distance, I found an inconspicuous corner to follow the photographer, so I couldn't hear the conversation, but I could still capture the scene. For example, Lugenja peeled shrimps for Jinli. The photographer thought about the popularity and traffic of the two people, and thought that if this section was released, the hot search would be stable. The koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the koi goddess. Author, Sushao Zhaji. Chapter 1078. The photographer thought with satisfaction in his heart and felt that his bonus this month was stable. He continued shooting. But he soon discovered something was wrong. He stood far away, so he could see clearly. In the distance, there was a group of people about 2 tables away from Jinli's table. 3 or 4 men stood up and walked towards Jinli's table. The photographer frowned, hoping that he had made a mistake, because there was another table of eating guests in that direction. Unfortunately, he was not wrong. Those men who were obviously drunk came to Jinli's table. There were 6 people at Jinli's table. They all wore inconspicuous dark sportswear and baseball caps to have late-night snacks. At first glance, they couldn't see their faces. Everyone just thought they were a group of students or some club. People. At most, I feel that this group of people are too physically superior, and then I look at them more. Ordinary people really won't go out of their way to see what the real person looks like because of a silhouette, unless they are really free. But it's different for people who are drunk. When those people arrived, Jinli was eating a piece of chicken wing. Oh, you young brothers and sisters, it's so hot at night, why are you wearing hats? The person who said this happened to be standing next to Suhexiang. While talking, he reached for Suhexiang's hat. Of course he failed. His hand was blocked by another slender hand. It's Lu Qingyuan. Lu Qingyuan raised half of his face, glanced at the man coldly, and said nothing. The person who spoke was shocked by this sight. Lu Qingyuan's facial features are undoubtedly quite superior. There is no ugly person in the Lu family. What's more, he also carries the nobility cultivated by the Lu family for hundreds of years and the elegance cultivated by classical music since childhood. For the kind of life in front of him, for a gangster who has never seen a real beauty, this is undoubtedly a glimpse. But after the surprise, he frowned, and the man muttered, "Such a good-looking guy is actually a man. Tisk, buddy, I'm not interested in you. How about letting this beautiful woman next to you have a drink with us?" Men are even more interested in Suhexiang. a woman who can be protected by such a good-looking man will definitely not be any worse. The second time Su Hexiang was mentioned, Lu Qingyuan's face completely darkened. Just as he was about to get up, someone next to him was faster than him. A figure stood up from beside him. The next moment, the man with a dirty mouth fell to the ground with a bang and a scream. The noise was a bit loud this time, and everyone around looked over. The person who took action was Long Hao. Everyone who saw the scene looked over here. There would probably be a few fans here. Long Hao said, "Stop eating, let's leave quickly." If this happened, they must leave. Several people got up and left. Etc. The few people who had been standing there dumbly because they didn't see Long Hao's movements clearly reacted when they saw Jin Li and the others getting up. The first one pointed at Jin Li and his group. "What? You beat our brothers and want to leave? Have you asked me what I mean?" Following his words, more than 10 people stood up one after another across 2 tables, approached, and surrounded the corner. Obviously, he didn't want people to leave. The man in front laughed wildly. "It's been a long time since I've seen someone dare to be so arrogant in front of me. Young man, are you from out of town? See you later." The Koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi goddess. Author, Sushao Zheji. Chapter 1079. Jin Li. This conversation always felt very familiar to her. After thinking about it, she whispered, "Usually in novels, people who say this kind of thing are cannon fodder. The kind who appear in less than 1 chapter." She didn't speak loudly, and only the people on her side heard her. As a result, the originally tense atmosphere was suddenly destroyed by her. Su Hexiang also smiled. At this time, "Just shut up." Lu Qingyuan was not in a good mood at the moment. He is currently at a stage where he has just discovered his true inner feelings and realized how much he has done, and is trying to repair his relationship with his sweetheart. It was the stage where I didn't know how to treat Su Hexiang and felt that no matter how cautious I was, I couldn't be too cautious. I met such a group of people. This group of people also tried to tease Su Hexiang. Even a man can't bear it. He couldn't bear it. So he took a step forward, ready to speak. As a result, someone took the lead again. Lu Qingyuan. "It's Wen Hao again." Long Hao took 2 steps forward and faced the people in front of him calmly. There were more than 10 people on the other side, but he was the only one. Even though he was wearing a hat, the collar of his coat was pulled up high, making it difficult to see clearly. But with his superior height and powerful aura, he was able to defeat more than a dozen of them without losing the slightest bit. Most of the surrounding guests had already gotten up, and a few left. Most of them were watching the excitement in the outer circle. Some of the good people even took out their mobile phones to take videos. Long Hao remembered his character very well and said, "Don't forget that I am a martial arts instructor. Besides, my other job here is to protect your safety, isn't it?" Lu Qingyuan. "I am a grown man, what do I need you to protect?" Just as he was about to speak, someone tapped his arm. Lu Qingyuan turned around and saw Jin Li. Jin Li said to him, "Long, Wen Hao can do it alone, he is very powerful. Moreover, the few of us are too well known. If you go out to fight with others, we will probably be recognized by others. Then it will be really even if you want to leave, you can't leave. Don't show off, let Wen Hao handle it alone, and we'll leave." Lu Qingyuan hesitated. Can he do it alone? There are so many people on the other side. Jin Li. She said in her heart that even if there were 10 times as many of those guys, they wouldn't be enough to kill the cold-blooded Captain Long with one strike. She thought for a moment, stretched out her hand and gestured with 2 fingers, and said, 2 minutes. Mo was confused. What 2 minutes? Jin Li shook her finger. I bet that Wen Hao will kill this group of people within 2 minutes. Mo opened his eyes wide. So powerful. Jinli smiled and said, "You'll know just by looking at it." Conflicts between men never involve much flirting. Especially when one of the parties is drunk. Just go up and do it. As a result, the onlookers were dumbfounded to admire the performance of Flower Kingdom Kung Fu. All of them could be considered fat and strong adult men. Under Long Hao's hands, they could be kicked over as lightly as a cotton bag. Some people around were murmuring, "Isn't this really a movie? Isn't it a promise?" His companion pulled him and pointed him to look at the smashed plastic chair next door. In less than 2 minutes, a bunch of people were lying on the ground. Long Hao turned around and was about to tell people to leave when a scream suddenly came from not far away. "I know who it is. Wen Hao. See you later." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Koi Fairy Wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Sushao Zhaji. Chapter 1080. Long Hao turned around for a moment, then without saying a word, raised his hand to press down his hat, and hurriedly looked at a few people. "Hurry up and leave." But it's too late. When Wen Hao was called out, most people looked confused, but there were still many young people in such a large late-night snack bar. Most people who play Weibo have clicked in to read the hot searches in the past few days. What's the busiest thing these days? Of course, come travel with me. The name Wen Hao has become famous among many netizens because of his superior face and aura. So as soon as the girl shouted out, everyone looked at Long Hao and the group of companions around him. If you have a guess in your mind and go to see the person, you will be able to match the number in no time. There were 6 people at their table. There are a total of 6 guests on Travel with Me. Everyone who comes to have late-night snacks is usually dressed casually. These 6 people not only wear tight clothes, but also wear hats with the brim of the hat lowered to cover their faces. They are obviously out of tune with the people around them. Looking at the figures of several people, the shorter girls are all slender, and the men are all tall and thin, with tall and straight postures. Standing in the crowd, they look different from ordinary people. 3 men and women. One is Wen Hao. Right? The crowd suddenly became commotion, and many people ignored the group of people still lying on the ground and rushed over here. Walking closer, the areas not covered by the hat are revealed. Some people almost screamed, "My innocence is Lu Shen. That's Jin Li, right? The skin on half of her face is as good as snow. Is the person next to Jin Li Dad Lu? Dad Lu is so tall. Ah, you won't admit your mistake, right? Are they really those of them? I'm sure I won't admit that Wen Hao is wrong. His aura and figure are so beautiful. I watched the video dozens of times during the live broadcast. It's impossible to admit that he is the one who is wrong. He was so handsome during those fights just now. Isn't Wen Hao a martial arts coach? I thought it was just a personal design, but I didn't expect him to be so handsome." Several people. Long Hao glanced at it. "Why are you still standing there? Let's go." Suhek Xiang looked at the tightly blocked people in front of him and smiled bitterly. "How are we going to run away?" In order to keep a low profile, they chose a corner specially. At this moment, there is a wall behind you and people in front of you. Long Hao glanced at Jin Li, and the two exchanged looks. Long Hao whispered, "Just follow me." After speaking, he took off the hat on his head. A beautiful face made of ice and snow appeared in front of everyone without reservation. The originally noisy crowd was shocked by this sudden critical attack. Long Hao looked around at everyone with cold eyes. His eyes seemed to have some unbearable intensity. The few people who rushed to the front even couldn't help but take 2 steps back under such eyes. Long Hao raised his legs and walked forward. Those who stood in front of him couldn't help but separate a path for him. Jin Li called a few people to follow him. The crowd began to commotion again, and some people couldn't help but move forward to get close to Jinli and his group. Long Hao just dodged, and he didn't know how to do it with his hands. He pulled and pushed, and the crowd in front felt it. He was so strong that he couldn't help but step back and step back. These spaces are enough for several people to leave the store quickly. Several people ignored the screams behind them, quickly got into the car, and stayed away from this place. Good night everyone. The Koi Fairy Wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 1081. When they got into the car, several people were still a little confused. Mo looked at the silent man sitting next to him with an expression of surprise and admiration. Wenhao, there was a hint of excitement in her tone, and she reached out and gestured, "How did you do it just now?" "Those fans were blocked all of a sudden." Long Hao said lightly, "A little trick." Mo, what kind of trick is it? Can I learn it?" Long Hao glanced at her and withdrew his gaze. "No." Mo. "I announce that the hero filter I just created for you is broken." She remembered something, took out her phone, and logged into Weibo. As expected, relevant news has appeared on Weibo. Hashtag come with me on a trip where guests go out for supper. Hashtag celebrity fights. Hashtag Wenhao martial arts coach. Hashtag. The video of Long Hao fighting alone with gangsters has also been circulated. The picture was very shaky, not very clear, and had a lot of noise, but it was very clear that the person in the picture was Long Hao. He single-handedly challenged more than a dozen people, knocking them down easily, and even finally took off his hat and left together with him. Weibo suddenly exploded. "Damn, he's so handsome. Is this force value real? I always thought fighting was just vulgar. I punch you and you kick me. It turns out you can still be so sassy. It's like filming a martial arts drama. Wenhao is so handsome. I really died when I took off my hat. How could someone combine coldness and beauty so well?" At first, fans were full of compliments. Soon different voices came out. "What are you doing? Is this considered a fight? Oh, can celebrities be like this? A fight of this scale is considered a serious act, right? Does anyone know where this show was recorded? Didn't anyone call the police? Is this a scene arranged by the crew? The popularity has started before you even started recording?" The comments were quickly taken away and went in another not-so-good direction. Mo frowned slightly. In this situation, those who are more familiar with the Rice Circle will know that this is the end of the capital and the infestation of the Navy. As for who the opponent is, maybe it was someone who felt Wenhao was a threat. It may also be a rival company of Yunduo Video. After all, this show is going to explode with the naked eye. If your show becomes a hit, it will definitely affect other people's ratings. Mo felt a little unhappy. Not to mention that Wenhao is his partner for more than a month in the future, and he has just shown strong force value to save himself and others from the crisis. In fact, it is impossible to say how sincerely she feels kindness towards someone she has just met. Her unhappiness stemmed more from her worry that the storm would affect the program Come Travel With Me. So she was ready to wait and see, to see Wenhao himself, the program team, and the attitudes of the other guests. Anyway, she is the least well known among the remaining people. It is not her turn to be the one who stands out. Jinli was the first to stand out. When she saw the comments under Weibo, she said, "Tisk, Wenhao, you are on the hot search." Long Hao belatedly opened Weibo and saw those remarks. Mo glanced at him carefully, wanting to see his expression. However, Long Hao had no expression at all.